Confirmation hearing center at 5 or 5-ish?
5 o'clock,
5
yes,
o'clock.
which means probably 5:45, 6 o'clock.
You know, I'm especially proud of this committee. When we say we're going to have a public hearing 1 o'clock, we have a public hearing 1 o'clock,
Absolutely.
which is not the norm in a lot of cases.
You're
Absolutely.
damn right. This is transportation.
You guys are live.
Transportation. Say we're going to do something. We do it.
That's right.
Ready to roll.
Kelly, we ready?
Yeah, you're live.
Okay, all set, very good. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Committee on Transportation. We want to welcome you here today. We also want you to know, before we start, to remind you that this is, of course, electronic meeting, and we're doing very well with these, but there may be a glitch from time to time, so just hang with us. The meeting is being live streamed on our committee's YouTube channel. All participants via Zoom can be seen and heard if the mic is on. Testifiers cannot be seen or heard until they're recognized by the chair. The meeting is also recorded and available on the committee's YouTube after the meeting is concluded. I want to remind everybody to check and make sure your name is displayed on the Zoom, the same as you're registered. That makes things less confusing. And also remind everybody this is a public hearing. And that way we start the proceeding each bill with the sponsor presenting the bill, followed by any co-sponsors, and followed by the public based on those who testify in support of the bill. Proponents are first, followed by the opponents, followed by those who would testify neither for nor against. When you'll be called upon, you'll be promoted from the attendee status to participant, and when finished, you'll be returned to the attendee status. When called upon, make sure your mic is on, please. State your name, residence, and if you're associated with an affiliation, please let us know that as well. All individuals who wish to testify must register in advance of the public hearing in order to be called upon to testify. If you're using video, you will be sent an attendee invitation to the Zoom webinar via email. If testifying by phone, you'll use the Zoom toll-free number associated with this meeting. And remember, at a public hearing, only committee members may ask questions to the chair. We will now introduce ourselves to everybody, and I think Senator Farren is on the road. He's not here. Is that correct?
That's correct. He can be present.
So we'll start with Senator Chipman, Ben Chipman.
Welcome. Thanks, Senator Diamond. I'm Senator Ben Chipman. I represent Senate District 27, which is most of the city of Portland.
Thank you, Senator Chipman. Representative Perry.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Senator Diamond. My name is Wayne Perry. I represent House District 10, which covers Arundel, Dayton, and most of Lyman.
And used to be Wyndham. We will now go to Representative Lynn Williams.
Thank you, Senator Diamond. I'm Lynn Williams. I represent District 135, which includes Bar Harbor, Lemoyne, and Mount Desert.
Thank you, Representative Williams. Representative Dustin White.
I don't see him.
Here. We'll go over to Representative Mike Perkins.
Good afternoon, Senator. Thank you, sir. I'm Mike Perkins. I represent District Number 77, Oakland and Sydney.
Thank you, Representative Perkins. Representative Mark Bryant.
Thank you, Senator. Welcome all. I'm Mark Bryan from Wyndham. I represent House District 24, part of the town of Wyndham.
Thank you, Representative Bryant. Representative Bruce White.
Hi, yes, thank you, Senator. And Representative Bruce White from Waterville, District 109.
Great. Thank you. Representative Tom Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. My name's Tom Martin. I represent House District 57, which is the towns of Greene and Sabatis.
And you're coming through clear and bright, so that's excellent. Representative Kevin O'Connell.
Thank you, Chairman. That's Kevin O'Connell, District 128, 9/10 of the city of Brewer.
Love Representative Rich, thank you. Representative Rich Seabrook.
Hey, good afternoon. I'm Representative Rich Sebra, coming to you live from the beautiful 100% town of Naples, Maine. I represent District 68, the lovely towns of Naples, Sebago, Baldwin, Cornish, and Parsonsfield. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely, and a star beside Baldwin. And now the House Chair, Representative Danny Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Danny Martin. I represent House 150 located in northern Aroostook County.
Thank you, sir. And my name is Bill Diamond. I'm the Senate Chair. Pleased to be with you. My district is 26 and my town circle Sebago Lake. Our analysts, Sam Prower and Karen Neto, and fiscal matters, Suzanne Voynick. Thank you all. And Darlene Semino, of course, keeps the train moving. And so she's our clerk and does a fantastic job with that. Before we begin, we have some housekeeping, which I'm going to go to House Chair Martin, and I think you have a couple of things you'd like to add in.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. In regards to LD 162, our supplemental budget that we discussed and voted on Tuesday, would it be appropriate, Mr. Chair, to attempt to exempt that from the highway table?
It would, and whereas an emergency legislation, that's our routine, is to let the bill go until the end of the session, but obviously this is a supplemental budget. We need it now, and so that would be very appropriate and in order.
I'll second that motion.
Motion's been made and second to exempt LD 162, which is the supplemental highway fund supplemental budget. Moved and seconded. Are there any discussions, questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please, we need to have you, we need to do a roll on this, Darlene.
Very good. I didn't have to say it. Representative Perry,
Yes.
Representative Williams,
Yes.
Senator Chipman,
Yes.
Senator Diamond,
Yes.
Representative Danny Martin,
Yes.
Representative Perkins,
Yes.
Representative Bryant,
Yes.
Representative Bruce White,
Yes.
Representative Tom Martin,
Yes.
Representative O'Connell,
yes,
and Representative Seabrook. Where'd he go? Oh, here he comes. I see his shadow. Representative Seabrook, are you voting to exempt from the table the highway fund?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you.
So that does us. What's the number?
11 in favor, 2 absent.
2 absent. Very good. Motion to exempt LD 162 from the highway table passes, does prevail, and we go to Mr. Chairman, House Chair, you have another item?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In regards to last Tuesday's work session, with the members that might have been present, questions of Darlene, have all the votes been taken,
Yes, I have.
cast? And in regards to the divided report that we had, what was the outcome of that? So the committee members and the public would have an opportunity to observe?
Is that well, there was more than one that was divided. Are you looking for one in particular or all of them?
I thought there was only one
I
divided
think
report,
he's
maybe
got
not.
the LD 267. That was
267, that is, the majority is 7 in favor and 6 in opposition.
Thank you.
anything else, Mr. Chair?
Yeah, in regards to this afternoon's AFA meeting, regarding a portion of our transportation bill that we haven't really discussed yet, I will not be able to attend, Mr. Chair, and I'm just wondering if other committees members were planning on being Zooming with AFA at approximately 3-ish this afternoon.
Any committee member, would you raise your hand, please, on our little screen? Let us, so we'll know if anybody's going to be able to. I will not be able to be there, that's for certain, and I don't see anybody else will be there. And I told them that we had committee meetings all day anyway, plus other conflicts, so.
Yeah, likewise, I told our House Chair that I couldn't make it as well. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, appreciate that. Okay, I think we're ready to start in. We're going to start today with LD 311, followed by 382, then 388, LD 410, and then LD 252, and then LD 395 in that order. And so we will now start with open the hearing on LD 311, an act to require third-party certification of persons undertaking corrosion prevention and mitigation projects for public water supply and wastewater infrastructure and bridges, presented by Senator Chipman of Cumberland. Good afternoon, Senator Chipman.
Great. Thank you, Senator Diamond. Good afternoon to you and to Representative Martin and members of the Committee on Transportation. As you know, I'm Senator Ben Chipman, serving here on the committee with you. I represent Senate District 27, which is most of the city of Portland. And I'm here today and happy to present LD 311, which is an act to require third-party certification for persons undertaking corrosion prevention and mitigation projects for public water supply and wastewater infrastructure and bridges, which focuses specifically on Maine bridges. This bill is about one thing: public safety. Maine's highway system serves 1.3 million residents and visitors annually. Experts find that more than 95% of structural damage on bridges can be traced back to some form of corrosion. It's a particularly big factor for bridges that are more than 50 years old, because most have not been treated to prevent corrosion. This is especially relevant to Maine because over half of the bridges here in Maine are more than 50 years old. These are the same bridges that are frequently treated with chloride-based snow and ice melting compounds, which hasten corrosion and reduce the strength of structural elements. Bridges in coastal areas can also likely to experience significant corrosion damage, further increasing the likelihood that Maine bridges will suffer from the effects of corrosion. According to the 2020 American Society of Civil Engineers Infrastructure Report Card, 1 of every 7 Maine bridges is structurally deficient right now, which means there is significant deterioration to the bridge, deck, superstructure, substructure, and other major components. The good news is that corrosion is controllable. The application of a protective coating system to prevent and mitigate decay extends the life of our bridges. The upkeep and repair of these structures should be done by industry-trained and industry-certified corrosion prevention experts. As part of the repair and resurfacing of bridges, these professionals will follow the federal and state lead abatement requirements. We do not want a repeat of an incident that occurred in my district in Portland's Deering Avenue Bridge in 2016. At that time, I noted the rust-colored dust and debris at a work site near the Deering Oaks Park and King Middle School and had the site tested. I actually went there myself with Senator Jackson and Representative Talbot Ross and others, and we actually saw what was going on there firsthand after the work had been done. We saw lead paint dust in the area that was accessible to the public, which I'll get to in a minute. The results from our tests, we actually did a soil sample underneath the bridge area where the work was done, and took a soil sample, had that tested at a lab in New Hampshire, and the results came back with lead levels ranging from 1,900 parts per million to 32,000 parts per million, well above the health standards of 400 parts per million for what's allowed near playgrounds, and 1,200 parts per million, which is what's allowed in residential areas. The out-of-state contractor, Southern Road and Bridge, which we hired to apply new protective coatings to the bridges through that section of the highway in Portland, had been previously cited in order to pay fines for lead dust violations in Massachusetts. This bill is an attempt to make sure this never happens again. We did forward the results of our soil samples to the state MDOT, and they then contracted Southern Road and Bridge and asked them to go back and remove soil and replace it with clean soil and remove the soil that was contaminated, which they did do. They removed 6 inches of soil from that area and replaced it with clean soil. But lastly, you will hear today that despite the good intentions of this bill, it is just too costly to implement. I would argue that this bill actually extends the life of our infrastructure by slowing the pace of corrosion and decay. This will save our state money in the future by preventing the need for larger scale repairs or replacements of bridges suffering from the effects of corrosion. It will also ensure confidence in the safety of our bridges. It is my view that it makes more sense to ensure that taxpayer dollars are used to create a final product that is both safer and longer lasting, even if it requires spending a little bit more money up front. I'd like to also say that, or add to my testimony that I'm only intending for this to apply to state contracts. That's contractors that we hire to do work on bridges across the state. So if some folks are reading this bill to apply to wastewater facilities, to water districts and stuff, which I've heard some feel that it would apply to them, We're not looking to do that with this bill, just simply contracts like the one we have with Southern Road and Bridge to make sure that type of disaster doesn't happen again. We'll also probably hear testimony, I know we'll hear testimony from the department in opposition to the bill at this time. I have had conversations with Ms. Russo today and as recent as a half hour ago by way of email about the bill. You know, it really pains me to be in opposition to the department because I've worked with Ms. Russo and others in the department on a number of bills over the years, including my bill regarding sign placement in the public right of way last year. And we were able to come up with a solution that everybody was on board with, and hope to do that on this bill. And we're having some conversations with them about that. But at this point, you'll hear them speak in opposition to the bill, which, as I said, it does pain me to be in opposition with them at this point. I hope we can work something out that everybody can live with, because you know, 99% of the time, you know, we're members of the Transportation Committee. We usually defer to what the department says, and most of the time that is the way to go. I would say 99% of the time that is the way to go. On the rare occasion it may be necessary to pass a bill that may be in opposition to what some folks in the department would like to see. This may be one of those occasions. I hope that we can get on the same page by the time the work session happens. But again, I'd like to reiterate, though, that this did definitely happen in 2016. I did go there. I did see the lead paint dust that was left after the work was done. We did forward the samples to the department. They did have the contractor come back and remove soil. So there was definitely a problem there that had to be fixed. And when it was fixed, but I firmly believe that if we had not taken the soil sample, if we had not brought this to the attention of the media, if we had not forwarded the soil samples to the department, that contractor would have never come back and removed 6 inches of soil and replaced it with clean soil. So, you know, we had to bring that to their attention. I just worry about other bridges, other work that particular contractor has done for us in other parts of the state and may continue to do for us in the future should we not pass this bill, because they're not third-party certified, resulting in further contamination of lead paint dust around where people live, around where playgrounds are, schools are located. That will continue to happen in the future if we don't do something about it. And that's what we're trying to address with the bill. So I guess with that, I'll conclude my testimony and happy to answer any questions that anybody might have.
Thank you, Senator Chipman, for presenting that bill. We appreciate it. We have a question from Representative Seabrook.
Thank you, Senator. Good afternoon, Senator. Having the benefit of being on this committee, multiple legislatures, I read the bill again, and it almost word for word is the exact same bill that this committee has unanimously killed at least 2, and I only went back to the 128th, so it may be even several times more than that. So, and we've seen all the pictures of the quote contamination, and I recall this was more of a bill that had something to do with the out-of-state contractors' union status, and I don't believe anything's changed since then. So maybe you can enlighten us and tell us what's changed since the at least 128th and 29th, where this bill almost word for word. I think there's a little bit, if I remember the bills from the previous legislatures, there were project size requirement changes, but I can't say that off the top of my head. But anyway, so what's really changed that would flip this committee from a 13-0 ought not to pass twice to passing this bill?
Well, it wasn't 13-0 because I know that there are some members that weren't there last time. It may have been unanimous, but it wasn't 13-0. Secondly, has nothing to do with unions. There's nothing in the bill at all about union status. We're talking about having a third-party certification process so that the contractors that we hire, we know have been vetted properly, and we know that there's no issues with them. This particular company, I mean, you could do a Google search and probably come up with all the violations in Massachusetts that they had down there prior to doing work for the state of Maine. So I think, you know, we do need to know who we're hiring. We need to know if there's issues with them. We should need to know about that and not hire them to do work here. I don't think we did that kind of research on them before they were hired in 2016. And that's what we're trying to get at, is having some kind of certification process, whether they're union or not union, doesn't matter to me. I just want to make sure that things are safe, that they've been certified properly, they've been vetted properly, and we don't have these kind of issues occurring with lead paint dust being left at work sites in areas that are near playgrounds, schools where people live. So it's not about union status at all. What's changed in the bill, we did this time put in, I believe, a change to setting a threshold of $50,000 for the contract size. So smaller contracts under 50,000 it wouldn't apply to, but we're talking about larger contracts where they're working on multiple bridges in the state. They would have to go through the third-party certification process. And again, it's really just to make sure things are being done on the up and up, making sure that we're getting the best quality work for the money that we spend. I mean, we talk a lot about how we don't have enough money to fix roads and bridges. So let's spend our money wisely. Let's make sure they've got the proper certification. They're doing really good quality work. So those bridges are going to last longer. So they're not going to have to go back and have work done more frequently. And that's going to save us a lot of money in the long run. And I think that's how we're going to get the most bang for our buck, is making sure that we have the best quality corrosion, anti-corrosion processes used, and making sure they're being done correctly. Not having companies that are found in violation. And I mean, that just makes us look bad when we hire a company that's been cited in other states and could have very well been cited here. I mean, we brought it to the state's attention and they made the company go back and clean up the mess. But had we not done that and the EPA got involved, that company could have been cited for work done in Maine. So we just, that's really what we're trying to get at. So we have made a few changes to the bill and may recommend additional changes for the work session as well.
Thank you, Representative Schieber, you have a question? Yes,
Yeah, I
go
do
ahead.
have a follow-up. I don't often, the department does, I don't like sitting in this committee. Well, we're not sitting in the committee, we're on Zoom. I don't like sitting in the committee and having the department, smeared like that. I don't, are you telling us you don't think the department is able, without a third-party certification, to do this kind of work?
The department can. I mean, I'm not intending for this bill to actually apply to DOT workers. It's for contracts when we hire other companies to come in and do work. So I don't question at all the quality of the work done by the fine folks that work for us at DOT. We have lots of great people that work for us, and I think the department does a great job with the projects that we do ourselves. It's when we hire an out-of-state contractor to come in and do work, we need to make sure that work's done properly, that it's being done of good quality, that work's going to last longer into the future, that we're getting the most bang for our buck, and that it's being done safely, and that they're not having environmental issues and stuff like that. So it's not about our own workers. It's not about anything to do with the department does a great job with the work that we do, and I think they do the best job they can with hiring contractors. But I think Southern Road and Bridge is definitely some problems with them, with that particular company, and I don't know that if we've had them continue to do work since 2016. I'm not sure. I mean, after we brought that to their attention, maybe they're not continuing to work for us. But there are problems with some of the out-of-state contractors that aren't certified properly, and I think our department does a great job. So I'm not trying to cast any doubt about that.
Thank you, Senator Chipman. Other questions from the committee members? Seeing none. Thank you, sir. We appreciate your presenting the bill. The next supporting testifier is President Troy Jackson. Welcome, Mr. President.
Good afternoon, Senator Diamond, Representative Martin, members of the Joint Standing Committee on Transportation. As you know, my name is Troy Jackson. I have the honor of serving as President of the Maine Senate and of representing Northern Aroostook County. I'm here today to lend my full support to LD 311, an act to require third-party certification for persons undertaking corrosion prevention and mitigation projects for public water supply and wastewater infrastructure and bridges. This bill focuses specifically on Maine bridges and requires that professionals be hired to do the painting and blasting that prevents and mitigates corrosion. While hiring folks who are not properly trained may cost less in the short term, it can also result in long-term public health and safety issues, including lead pollution and frequent corrosion problems. Senator Chipman's district experienced this firsthand in 2016 when the completion of a bridge project raised concerns over possible lead exposure and contamination at nearby Portland Public Parks and the neighboring residential area. When it comes to health and safety of Maine people and communities, I don't believe we can afford to cut corners on these construction projects. By hiring professionals, we will ensure that corrosion happens much less frequently and protect our communities from pollution. We also ensure that the right work is done to ensure that our bridges are safe for our communities and visitors to use them far into the future. Ensuring that qualified professionals are hired to do these critical projects is also about supporting experienced American resident workers and preventing shoddy workers from undercutting wages. Hiring certified worker benefits workers in Maine by ensuring that workers are paid fairly for difficult work that is essential to the state. It requires these projects to engage with contractors that are not cutting corners by hiring unqualified workers. It also prevents contractors from undercutting qualified workers by threatening to replace them with less qualified individuals. Thank you for hearing my testimony today on this vitally important matter, and I will do my best to answer any questions.
Well, it's very nice having you, Mr. President. It's nice to have you here. I would say before we go to questions, this committee works very hard to try to find middle ground that everybody finally can live with, and which is why we had 105 unanimous committee reports last year. So what I'd like to do is, as this proceeds, if the role that you can play in that, we'd really look forward to having your participation. But thank you.
Good to see you all.
Questions from the committee? Seeing none. You're all set, sir.
See you later. Take care, everyone.
See you later. Absolutely. Next in support is Mr. Roger Burnell, International Union of Painters and Allied Trades. Good afternoon, Mr. Burnell. Mr. Burnell with us?
Can you hear me, sir?
Just got you now, yes.
Okay. Thank you, Chairman Diamond. Thank you, Chairman Martin, for the opportunity to speak, and thank you to the distinguished members of the committee as well as the people joining us on Zoom. My name is Roger Burnell. I'm the International Union of Painters and Allied Trades Political Director for District Council 35 here in New England, and I'm here to speak in favor of LD 311. First off, I had emailed a short video to the committee on what third-party certifications actually are. Was that received?
Well, I don't have to check with Darlene.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So if you've had a chance to see the video, that explains what a third-party certification actually is. Yes, my union does train to this standard. It is a standard that has been put in place by Society of Protective Coatings, SSPC, and NACE also has a similar certification. One is called CAS, Certified Application Specialist, and the other one is called CCA, Corrosion Control Applicator. These are not set up or been developed by our union or industrial coating unions. This was an outside source. Both of these organizations are the foremost engineering experts in the world on corrosion control. So about 10 years ago, the International Union of Painters and Allied Trades took it upon themselves to train to this level of certification. Industrial coatings has become extremely technical in the last few years. It no longer is it you just roll up, throw up a tarp, and spray sandblast and spray a bridge or a water tank or any type of infrastructure. What I think this bill is designed to do is capture the best option for recoating with industrial products your capital assets such as bridges, water tanks, sewer infrastructure, water infrastructure. And if you don't know, a lot of the infrastructure that's still out there, whether it's water or wastewater, won't have lead on the inside per se, but it has lead paint on the outside. So having this certification demonstrates, number one, safety protocols and environmental protocols for dealing with the contaminated coating that's coming off and the coating that's going on. It demonstrates the ability of knowledge of the equipment and the product and how it's applied. And it sets into place certain standards of how the substrate must be prepared for this coating to adhere. By using this standard, I believe the taxpayers get the value proposition of longevity of the coating. If you can save the taxpayers the time and resources and financial burden of repainting a bridge over and over, if you can extend the longevity of the coating, you could eliminate 2 or 3 paint jobs inside of that bridge's lifespan. one of the things that was brought up is that this is a union bill. Of course, my union is supportive of this bill, but nationally, union contractors only make up 30% of the contractors that are certified in this. We are well outpaced by the non-union sector as far as being certified. What this bill attempts to capture is not necessarily the maintenance worker or the employee of each division, whether it's water, wastewater, or DOT or Turnpike Authority, doing work on their assets, but it's meant for the subcontractors that are being hired to be certified to do this work. It adds a level of sophistication to the bidding process. That's why I believe the $50,000 threshold is in there. It's for capital projects. And one of the other things that the bill does, if you look at it, is it requires the contractors that are coming in to bid to make sure that they have some sort of a registered apprenticeship program. Because one of the things that I feel I need to do in my job is make sure I leave my position or my organization better than what I found it. And by requiring the apprenticeship component to this, it requires them to invest in the people in Maine, invest in the young people looking for an opportunity to get into a very lucrative career as an industrial coatings applicator. Whether it's union or non-union, it makes no difference. That industry is very lucrative. And if it's anything like, if the infrastructure package that hopefully comes out of Washington DC is anything like we think it is, this could be a way to make sure that you're getting the best quality contractor to apply this coating and preserve your capital asset, be it a road, a bridge, a water tank, any type of superstructure inside your municipality or your state government that needs to be preserved. But that's why I'm in support of this bill. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. And also, please watch the third-party certification video so you can see the technical aspects of it. It's proprietary information. We were not allowed to film the actual test, so we recreated certain portions of it so you could see the test panels, some of the equipment that they are tested on. But the test is a 2-day test for this certification. And what I'm hoping this bill will do is not just capture the person standing on the ground ordering the employees, to do this or do that. It's actually the one holding the blast nozzle to sandblast the substrate and holding the spray gun to apply the coating. That's one of the things that we've taken on as my organization of Painters and Allied Trades, is to make sure every one of our industrial coating members working in that industry is trained to this level. And when they have reached their qualifying hours, they are given an opportunity to take the test with SSPC or NACE. And with that, I'll conclude my testimony and hope you vote ought to pass.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brunel. We appreciate you being here with us. Questions from the committee, Representative Danny Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Brunel, thank you for your testimony and especially your clarification as to whether or not this was a union bill. I just got to share with you that there's a perception out there by some that this is strictly a union bill. So your clarification really helps me further understanding the bill. So thank you.
Thank you. Other questions? Yes, Mr. Brunel, did you want to respond?
No, but thank you, sir, for the comment. Yeah, nationally, the Painters and Allied Trades, our signatory contractors, are not leading the scale, so to speak. We are training to that level, and also I'd just like to add, like when we train for lead abatement, because we train for CAS and we also have lead abatement training. We train to what's called Vermont lead standards. Vermont has the strictest in the nation for lead abatement. And we train all of our industrial members to this certification for their license for lead abatement. That's why we are training to this level of certification for SSPC and NACE, because they are the leaders in corrosion engineering. And they are the ones that said this certification will help with the longevity of the projects. And I'm not here to be pro-union or anti-union. I'm here to say that the industry needs this standard. And it's not a solution looking for the problem. The problem is there. We're just trying to advocate for bills like this that help with weeding out and leveling the playing field of the contractors that are going to be submitting bids for your capital projects.
Thank you, sir, for that. Further questions from the committee? Seeing none, thank you, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you for your time, sir.
We have no more, though, people speaking as proponents. I think the next opponent would be Peter Mills, Executive Director of the Maine Turnpike Authority. Mr. Director, are you with us?
I am.
Oh,
I
welcome.
am.
Welcome.
Good. Yeah, if I may, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, I'm Peter Mills. I've been Executive Director of the Maine Turnpike Authority since March of 2011. I'm fairly familiar with the process of bridge painting. I've been a witness to it a number of times. We've hired it done quite regularly to maintain our bridges. We do it typically only every few years, and we take, for instance, in February of 2018, which I think is the last time we issued a contract, we had 4 sites that were eligible or that needed to be painted, and we put it out under one contract, and we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We had 8 bidders on it, and the low bid was $1.5 million to do 4 bridges. But one of the big problems in this industry is that this particular contract was awarded to a Florida contractor. We had 3 bids from Florida. We had 3 bids from New York State, 1 bid from Indiana, and the 8th bid was from Minnesota. I agree this is not a union issue, but it would be really nice if it were a Maine issue. If the union would work with some of our good local contractors and help to establish the level of expertise that is necessary to do this work. There's no question about our giving this work to anybody who's unqualified to do it, because our specifications are rock solid. And I would say the same for the DOT specifications, which are essentially the same as ours. And we have our own independent inspectors on this work, and it's very closely monitored. We're very, very tough on these people. And the reason is, if our contractor screws this up, our vulnerability to the DEP and the EPA is substantial. And they're not going to come after they're going to come after the Maine Turnpike Authority and hold us responsible for the quality of that work, no matter who's doing it. And we take that responsibility so seriously that our painting contracts and those of the DOT are very, very rigid. But we don't have, it's a trade. It is a highly specialized trade. The people that are in that trade, and I've met a number of them, they're very, this is what they do. This is their life. And they do it all over the United States. It is, there's not even anybody in New England that I'm aware of that has bid on our work for painting. But there should be something done to encourage some of our other very capable local contractors to pick up the trade, maybe, so that some of that work could be done, closer to home. That's my input to it. I want to piggyback on the testimony of Megan Russo from the DOT, and I've already gotten my own written testimony in, which I think makes the points in regard to the specifications that we have for doing this work. But I would say to you that adding some sort of licensing to the burden of qualifying to do this work is not something that you need to do. It would simply cut down the number of companies that would be. It might cut down the number of companies that are eligible to do this work or to bid it here in Maine, and we're somewhat more interested in seeing, a greater number of companies possibly qualified to do it, and preferably maybe some that are closer to home. But that's my perspective on it. It's a very interesting trade. Boy, when you see one of the, you've seen these if you've been driving on the Turnpike or 295, you in the summer, the tenting, the air controls, and the protection of the highway and the protection of the bridge, that is much of the money that you pay, much of what you are paying for on these contracts is the equipment that they bring into the state and they set up, and all the tenting that they have to do and all the preparation they have to make before they ever turn on the sandblaster. And then the question is, what happens to all the shot? That's all collected along with the chips. And it's very systematically done. It's what these people do for work every day. And it is a very, very specialized trade. I will agree with that. But my regret is that there aren't more people to do it, frankly.
Thank you, Mr. Director. We appreciate that. Quick question, though. Has the term MTA, as far as your knowledge, ever had any complaints such as what we heard had happened in Portland? Anything that you know of within the MTA experiencing similar kind of complaints?
Yeah, I've had personal, this is a small organization. This isn't the DOT. So when we get complaints, they come to me. And my cell phone is 858-6400, and I advertise it, and I encourage people to dial that number directly if they see something wrong on the Turnpike. So I did get a complaint a couple of years ago because they were complaining about the noise made by these huge pieces of machinery that capture all of the air that is flowing off the process and filter all of the stuff. And there was a noise complaint, and I went down and listened to it. I have to agree, the machinery was pretty noisy. And we managed to reposition the machine a bit. And I don't know that the person was particularly happy about it, but we did do what we could to control the noise. But this machinery is, if you ever have a chance to get out of your car and go visit one of these sites in operation, it is quite something to behold. But it was a noise complaint. I have had no complaints about debris or.
That was my question. No complaints about contamination or any of that sort of thing. Okay, thank you. Representative Perry.
Yeah, Director Mills, you touched on it real quick there. If this mandate was put in on you in DOT, could severely limit the amount of contractors that you could put bids out to, and wouldn't that drive the cost up quite a bit?
I can only guess that would be the case, and I don't know. And I don't know whether others. My impression of things is that the federal and state environmental regulations are stringent in this area that no one has thought it particularly important to have licensing added on as a protective measure to prevent adverse incidents of this kind. I just don't know. I mean, that could be an interesting thing to ask. Has anybody ever done it? Has any other state thought it necessary, for instance, to license these people? But I'm not familiar with any licensing protocols at all applicable, except that the specifications that I'm familiar with, and I think are replicated throughout the transportation industry, require these two organizations that the earlier witness mentioned, that the people doing the work, the safety people, the quality control people on the site have to be qualified by the NACE, which is the National Association of Corrosion Engineers. They have to be certified and trained by that organization, and they must also be qualified in accordance with SPCC, which is the Society for Protective Coatings. And the people that work on our sites all have to have that. It's all in the specs. So the people doing the work are licensed.
So you're not cutting any corners, which was suggested earlier.
No, we're not cutting any corners. I'm saying the most important thing is that the people who are responsible for the work are the ones that are appropriately trained and qualified and licensed. And licensing the company is it would be a secondary issue as far as.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions from the committee? One quick one, Mr. Director. Is it normal that the Department of Transportation rulemaking would apply to the Maine Turnpike Authority?
No, it doesn't necessarily, no. We have our own.
Well, my
Process.
point is that the Department of Transportation makes rules. Would that apply to you?
Jurisdictionally, I would think not. We have a tendency to work with them very closely, though.
Well, I'm just saying that the bill calls for the Department of Transportation rulemaking and it doesn't mention you. All right, thank you. We'll look into that in work session. No other questions from the committee? Thank you very much. Next in opposition is Mr. Leonard Blanchett.
Good afternoon, Senator Diamond, Representative Martin, and members of the Joint Standing Committee on Transportation. I am Leonard Blanchett, a resident of Winthrop and the General Manager of the Brunswick Sewer District. I provide this testimony on behalf of the Maine Water Environment Association in opposition to LD 311. The Maine Water Environment Association represents a diverse group of water quality professionals throughout Maine, including wastewater treatment plant operators, sewer collection system operators, utility system administrators, consulting engineers, suppliers, contractors, public works officials, and stormwater system operators. MWEA has more than 700 members throughout Maine, including towns and sewer districts who are on the front line of keeping the waters of Maine clean, in part through our diligent operation of wastewater and stormwater collection, pumping, and treatment systems. The Maine Water Environment Association opposes LD 311. Wastewater treatment facilities, as referenced in LD 311, are already regulated by Maine DEP, with licensing and permitting conditions that require strict operations and maintenance levels for all of our wastewater and stormwater infrastructure facilities. We understand the concept of this bill in relation to bridge structures as a major cause of corrosion of bridge and other highway structures is salt. Whereas corrosion as a result of salt is not an issue in the water and wastewater industry, our facilities are not typically protected against corrosion due to the added cost without any known value for the extra efforts. Corrosion concerns in the wastewater sector are mostly due to old cast iron and concrete pipe. Third-party certification for corrosion prevention is not anticipated to benefit this concern, as many corroded pipes cannot be easily repaired and instead are typically replaced with materials less likely to corrode. For pipes that can be repaired, downstream wastewater treatment processes that would provide the regulated pollutant removal. For an effective way to improve corrosion issues within the wastewater systems, we would suggest additional funding for the small utilities to replace outdated infrastructure. Many of our facilities cannot even afford to borrow the funds from the SRF program because they do not have the revenue to pay the loan's annual payment. These facilities in particular are not going to be able to fund another unfunded mandate created by this legislation. MWEA further opposes this bill as it appears to move regulatory responsibility of MDEP regarding the municipal wastewater stormwater sector over to DHHS. Thank you for this opportunity to comment on LD 311.
Thank you, Mr. Blanchett. We appreciate you being with us. Are there questions from the committee? Seeing none, thank you, sir.
Thank you all.
Next in opposition is Mr. Roger Kraus. Mr. Kraus with us?
Yes, good afternoon, Senator Diamond, Representative Danny Martin. My name is Roger Kraus. I am a general manager of the Kennebec Water District in Waterville, and I'm here testifying as a representative of the Maine Water Utilities Association in opposition to LD 311. Senator Chipman, at the beginning of his remarks, had made a comment about this bill not intended to affect water and wastewater utilities. He didn't mention an amendment. And so if that's the intent of Mr. Senator Chipman to have an amendment there, we would be open to reviewing that. But as the language stands now, it clearly does include water and wastewater utilities and the work we do. And we see this bill as not necessary. We hire consultants to do design work for us. We hire inspectors. We have staff that are trained to do design work, and we have inspectors who are trained also to make sure we're meeting the appropriate standards. We have hundreds of miles of pipe in the ground, hundreds of water tanks across the state. To apply this new regulatory standard on us as water utilities would create a real challenge economically with no benefit to the utilities. It also creates a significant challenge for the Department of Health and Human Services to review all of the modifications that are needed to ensure that they're meeting these new corrosion control standards. Right now, the department reviews public water system infrastructure improvements in the context of public health, whether or not the treatment system is appropriate for the contaminant, and whether or not the conveyance system is going to impart any contamination or prevent contamination from entering the system. They don't review all of the engineering standards for design, and so to expect the department to carry that burden of reviewing the engineering standards on corrosion control would create a significant fiscal burden on the department. We see this as just as a local control issue. Local utilities, utilities across the state are owned locally, either by consumer owned or departments through municipalities, or owned by investor owned. And we feel like utilities have this situation well in hand, and this legislation is not needed to improve public health protection. And so with that, I will open up to questions.
Thank you, Mr. Kraus. Thank you for that testimony. Questions from the committee? So this would impact you not necessarily as we envisioned firstly, that is spraying a bridge or chipping the paint off a bridge. This would affect you in other ways, obviously.
Right. Well, it appears from the language in the proposed bill that all corrosion control activities in water and wastewater facilities, and we have everything that we do is in wet environments. So there's lots of corrosion that's going on, and we coat pumps, we coat pipes, we do all kinds of activities to reduce corrosion of our infrastructure so it'll last longer. So this bill in its broad language would require significant regulatory oversight to manage that, while we already have the engineering staff or consultants working on this very issue, and we feel like we have it well on hand.
Good. Well, thank you very much for that. Maybe there is an amendment coming. We did hear the original testimony. So thank you for that. Any other questions from the committee? Seeing none, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Lastly, in the opposition category is Mr. Bradley Sawyer from the Maine Rural Water Association. Good afternoon, Mr. Sawyer.
Good afternoon, Senator Diamond, Representative Martin, honorable members of the committee. Thank you for allowing me to speak today on this bill. You've already heard from Mr. Kraus and Mr. Blanchett, who we agree with, and I submitted written testimony and won't rehash the same thing due to what we heard at the beginning from Senator Chipman. If water and wastewater are taken out of this bill, we no longer have a reason to, be involved at that point. I would reiterate just the facts that the water and wastewater industry is known for keeping rates as low as possible because due to the local control issue, these are your neighbors, your family members, and your friends. And so when local boards have to raise rates, you hear about it in the supermarket, you hear about it at your kid's soccer game. You hear about it. So folks folks do everything they can to ensure clean and safe drinking water and wastewater treatment while keeping those rates low. And that obviously involves longevity of infrastructure. If there's an affordable way to prevent corrosion in this industry, we'll find a way to do it. One example is a few years ago, a valve broke under the East Side Rotary here in Augusta. People were rightfully frustrated that traffic was disrupted while we dug it up to fix it. The date on the valve, I believe, was 1886. So 130 years, in my mind, is a pretty good shot at a piece of infrastructure that is underneath the ground and dealing, as Mr. Kraus said, in a damp environment every day. So we would support an amendment that carves the water and wastewater industry out of this. But if that amendment doesn't come to fruition, we urge you to vote ought not to pass. As previously stated, we believe this bill is unnecessary to continue delivering clean and safe drinking water and a healthy environment from wastewater treatment. Happy to answer any questions if they're out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sawyer, for your testimony. We appreciate it. Are there questions from the committee? Seeing none. Thank you, sir. That completes the registered testifiers. Do we have anybody else?
We do. We have Megan Russo.
Oh, did she send it in really late?
Yeah.
Okay.
I apologize. I apologize for that.
Okay. Are you opposition or neither for nor against?
Opposition.
All right. Thank you. Go ahead.
Senator Diamond, Representative Martin, distinguished members of the Joint Standing Committee on Transportation. My name is Megan Russo. I am the legislative liaison for Maine DOT. Maine DOT respectfully opposes LD 311. This bill would require Maine DOT to adopt rules concerning corrosion prevention and mitigation for state-owned bridges. The bill requires that these rules must include the establishment of a process ensuring that corrosion prevention and mitigation activities are performed in accordance with established standards, and requires that the use of personnel who are industry certified in corrosion prevention and mitigation. LD 311 is similar to legislation submitted during the 128th and 129th legislatures. This committee voted unanimously against both of those bills. Those two pieces of legislation were in direct response to a bridge painting contract that Maine DOT had for one of the I-95 bridges in Portland. During the execution of that contract, there were allegations by some that the contractor failed to maintain a secure containment site. Maine DOT personnel with extensive expertise in applicable environmental rules thoroughly investigated these allegations and found that they were not supported by the facts. We share the sponsors' concerns of safety and environmental degradation. However, this legislation is duplicative. Maine DOT already has significant safeguards in place to ensure that corrosion prevention and mitigation activities are done in a manner consistent with applicable industry standards and environmental and safety regulations. This includes a 21-page lead abatement and coating application special provision that is included in every bridge painting contract. To ensure compliance with these regulations and standards, Maine DOT requires contractors and subcontractors involved with bridge painting projects to be qualified in accordance with the Society for Protective Coatings and follow the standard procedure for the qualification of painting contractors. Additionally, contractors are required to have quality control personnel trained and certified by the National Association of Corrosion Engineers, the industry standard on corrosion prevention and mitigation. Furthermore, contractors are required to use Maine-based professional engineers to design and approve plans associated with the contractor's lead containment system, a certified industrial hygienist for the development and approval of appropriate health and safety documents, and a Maine certified geologist to assess and implement soil, water, and dredge conditions as warranted. These certified professionals work closely with Maine DOT personnel and our contractors to ensure that surface preparations and coating applications of paint on our bridge structures are done in accordance with industry practices and federal and state regulations. This bill, as drafted, also affects many of the activities routinely performed on our bridges by our Bridge Maintenance Division. The broad language of LD 311 seems to include any bridge maintenance work that would exceed the $50,000 threshold. This means that should this legislation pass, Maine DOT would need to certify all department personnel who perform this type of maintenance work on our bridges. Passage of the provisions within LD 311 would have a significant fiscal impact. With no or extremely limited benefit, we cannot justify this fiscal impact given the overall financial challenge Maine DOT is facing. Therefore, we respectfully request that the committee vote ought not to pass on LD 311, just as the committee did with the 2 prior versions of this proposal. Thank you, and I'd be happy to try to address any questions or bring additional information for the work session.
Thank you, Ms. Russo. That's very helpful. Have you had any complaints such as that described by Senator Chipman in 2016, similar to that, since that time?
I do not believe so, no. So I actually worked here, was in my position at the time, and worked with Senator Chipman when those concerns were brought forward through me to the department. And it is my understanding that the paint samples that were taken that the senator is referencing were taken within the boundaries of the active project while the project was still ongoing.
Okay, thank you for that. Questions from the committee? Yes, Representative Perry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Oh, so this wasn't something that was left there for months or whatever. It was something that was going on during the actual cleaning off of the bridge before they painted it?
Correct. Yep. So the project was still ongoing at the time. There would be boundaries that were set up that would be within the project limits, that, you know, kind of an active working zone. And, you know, when we have projects such as this, we do take preliminary samples of the soil to identify what the levels are at that time. And then we do always come back and take samples at the end of a project to ensure that compliance has been met by our contractor.
Follow up, Mr. Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so you guys come back in afterwards to make sure that the contractor has done everything they're supposed to do. It was suggested that if this certification came forward, there would be a much better job done on the painting of the bridges and the corrosion protection. Has this company, has there been any issues with the actual work of repainting the bridge, and have they had to come back, or has the department had problems with them at all? Or was this just, there was some stuff on the ground that didn't get cleaned up quite as quick as some wanted?
We've had no complaints, besides this one instance that we worked with the senator on.
Real quick too, is it, and I should know this, I know people aren't allowed to walk down the turnpike, but I also believe people aren't supposed to be walking down the interstate either, are they? So underneath these overpasses, would there be issues?
So the particular bridge that the senator is referencing, I don't think you have to walk on the interstate to get there.
Oh, okay.
At the time that the samples were taken, there were fences that were put up, erected to keep public members out. I wasn't there when the samples were taken, so I don't know how they were obtained, but we do know the vicinity of where they were obtained.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Representative Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Megan, I'm a little confused about Senator Chipman's narrative and your narrative. The impression I got from the senator was that the company had to return up here from New Hampshire to clean up the site. Is that not the case? Because that infers that the job was done and there was still an pretty unacceptable level of lead at the site, and they had to replace 6 feet of dirt or something. Can you maybe explain this?
Sure. So I don't know where the company was based at the time. So I don't know where they were traveling to and from the job site daily. So I can't comment to the New Hampshire, traveling from New Hampshire. But this was at the time a currently active project. It had not been closed out. So I don't know if that answers your question. The project didn't cease, and they had to come back after the project had ceased to complete more work.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Representative Martin, Danny Martin.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, Megan.
Hi there.
The sponsor of the bill in his remarks stated that he's been communicating with you and potentially others in the department, and that's the case. Is there an opportunity between now and our work session to further communicate and see if there's anything in this bill that's doable? I'm not suggesting that that would be the case, but if you could do that, that would really be great and really help the committee to act appropriately.
Sure. So we're always, as you all know, we're always willing to talk to legislators. And I did talk to Senator Chipman this morning, had a good conversation with him. I don't know that any resolve, and I told him this on the phone, I don't know that any resolve will be able to be reached. But again, we never have issues trying to work with legislators or at least speaking to them about proposed legislation.
Thank you.
Megan, DOT rulemaking, that impacts MTA as well?
I don't know. I heard you ask that question to Director Mills. I'm not sure. I can find that out for you. I do know when this bill was submitted last session, it did affect the Maine Turnpike Authority. So I don't know if it's different this session that it doesn't, but we can verify that.
Thank you. And following up on Representative Martin's comments, I mean, Senator Chipman, I think I recall him did mentioning an amendment or a change. If you could make an effort to, and he with you, but not just on your behalf, but on his behalf as well, work on this a little bit. There may be something that is, as Representative Martin said, something that we could take out of this that might work, but it's going to take a little more conversation. If you're willing to do that, and I know he would be, that would be helpful.
Happy to speak to him again. I don't know that any resolve will be reached, but always happy to speak to Senator Chipman.
Thank you. Other questions of Ms. Russo? If not, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Darlene, was there anybody else that we didn't have because they give us information late?
No, we're good.
Okay, thank you. That then will complete the public hearing on LD 311. Thank you, everybody, for that. We'll close the hearing. That was that. We'll now open the public hearing on LD 382, an act regarding the Department of Transportation and electric vehicle charging stations, presented by Representative Warren of Scarborough. Good afternoon and welcome, Representative Warren.
Thank you very much, Senator Diamond, and good afternoon to Senator Diamond, Representative Martin, and the distinguished members of the Joint Committee on Transportation. I'm here to present my bill, LD 382, an act regarding the Department of Transportation and electrical charging stations for motor vehicles. The concept of my bill is a regulatory tool for DOT which addresses transportation equity, specifically a policy framework for equitable electric vehicle infrastructure adoption into the future. The goal with this bill would be for our state to make informed decisions about how EV infrastructure should be installed and managed in coordination with and consideration for frontline communities, vulnerable communities, and statewide transportation infrastructure transitions on climate action, particularly our carbon emissions and electric vehicle goals. This idea came originally in part from the Maine Climate Council Transportation Subcommittee's recommendation for a quote unquote EV roadmap. And both Connecticut and Vermont are some of the only, and in my view, pretty great models for legislation on this type of coordination and equity considerations in state plans on transportation and sort of roadmap frameworks. However, I'm here before you today to ask for more time to come up with language through carryover because I had a great conversation with Megan Russo at DOT last week, the week of 2/19, and I believe there are two reports concerning EVs in the state that are coming. This is work that has already been done, data that's been collected, but just has not been released, relevant to my bill. One being the infrastructure vulnerability study from the Climate Council, and the other being the Leading by Example report. I believe this is work that's already been done, and that it could be very valuable and very connected to local infrastructure preparedness and the work that I'm looking to put forward with this roadmap framework. So for me as a new legislator, to be frank, the expertise of DOT and the council is very important to my bill, and I would like to defer to it and be in coordination with as many community partners that are quite expert in this area. So in all the work that's being done at the state level right now, and just the immense amount of work that's been released since I've was fortunate to represent my home district here in Scarborough, I asked for time to produce language because I want to defer to that expertise and I want to wait for relevant data to be released. I think that's the most sustainable way to achieve the goals of my bill. And I appreciate your time, your consideration. I'm happy to take your questions, and thank you very much.
Well, thank you, and thank you for taking this on. Good for you. We appreciate your work that's coming forward on this, and we look forward to seeing how this comes together. So thank you very much for that. We questions from the committee, Representative Perry.
Yeah, just real quick, Representative Warren, it was very nice meeting you here today. We usually get to do all this at the State House, but everything with Zoom. Many of my friends are in your district, and I lobster out of Pine Point. So I go through your district during lobster season literally every day. So it's nice to see you here, and you know, this it sounds like this needs more work, and I think that can be accomplished.
Thank you very much. Also, Representative Warren, there was another Representative Warren representing Scarborough. That wouldn't be any relation, would it? His name is Dan Warren.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yes. That is insofar as it's relevant to this
No,
hearing.
I was just curious if he was, because he was also an excellent legislator.
I was gonna say I want to speak out of turn, but yes, I'm very.
Representative Danny Martin has a question.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, Representative Warren. Great job with your testimony. You mentioned that you needed more time to work on this bill. And I think I heard you say carry over. I'm not sure if that's what you meant. But how much time do you think you need to present to the committee some language that we could digest?
Well, thank you very much for your question. And I hope that this will address it, but please ask follow-up if insofar as it's relevant. I don't need to go around the question or misunderstand. Because I'm waiting for the infrastructure vulnerability study, as well as the Leading by Example report, I have a sense from my conversation with Megan Russo, sort of that these are anticipated in the near term, but you know, I don't have any clear sense or formal commitment, and I don't want to gum up the works at all with everything that's, I hope it's appropriate to mention that this is a difficult time, and there's so much that state staff is working on. So I did mention a carryover in particular, but I wanted to be specific about what it would be contingent on. And I don't know if that speaks to the question that you're asking. So to save everyone's time, maybe I would say carry it over, but I am prepared to do all the work that I can as soon as those reports are released, but I don't know when they will be, and they're a very big reason why I'm waiting at this point. So depending on what they say, you know, I still want to come up with the best language possible. So I'm so sorry. I hope that addresses the.
No, you did answer, if I may, Mr. Chair, you did answer my question. I'm sure if the committee agrees, we can hold this bill till the 11th hour in this session. And if you're not ready this year, I'm sure that we could seriously consider carrying it over. So thank you very much for your testimony.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there further questions of Representative Warren? Thank you again for being with us. Did a great job. We appreciate the information.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. And there's no one else registered to speak in any category, so this will end and close. this particular public hearing on LD 382. We'll now open the public hearing on LD 388, an act to amend laws governing transportation presented by Representative Martin of Sinclair. Good afternoon, Representative Martin. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Senator. This will be short and sweet. Senator Diamond and members of the Joint Standing Committee of Transportation, my name is Danny Martin. I am a state representative from Northern Aroostook County, House District 150. As you can see, this is a consent bill and is simply a placeholder that is being assigned to this committee. LD 388, an act to amend the laws governing transportation. This is before this committee simply as a vehicle that could be used for legislation if in fact we need it. So I would strongly suggest that we hold this bill again till the 11th hour in this current legislation. And if need be, we could carry it over to the second regular session as well. And that's it. See how easy that was, guys?
Thank you, Representative Martin. And this is, by the way, for the new members, this is a common practice, especially from departments such as ours, that we do have a bill that we can just have, and we have, if we have to do legislation, it's already there for us to amend. So
that's great.
Are there any questions of Representative Martin? If not, thank you very much, sir. And I know but no one is registered to speak in any category. So that closes the public hearing on LD 388. The next bill, it will open the public hearing on LD 410, an act to provide funding for the reconstruction of Route 161 from Fort Kent to Caribou, presented by Representative Martin of Eagle Lake. And Representative Martin, are you with us?
He should be. He's on the screen.
Okay, Representative Martin, we're here if your mic is on.
I should be fine now.
There you go. Welcome.
Thank you. Okay, you want me to get going?
Yes, Gory, that'd be.
Okay, thank you, Senator. Senator Diamond, Representative Martin, members of the Transportation Committee. I am John Martin, and I represent northern parts of actually most of Western Aroostook. Starting, I represent Allagash to Fort Kent, down Route 11 all the way to Oxbow, and part of the district is two of the communities that go through Route 161, Fort Kent and New Canada. And so over the years, a lot of the work has been done on 161, but primarily the area closer to Caribou rather than the area closest to Fort Kent. And so after some discussion and a number of constituents asking that we try to do something about that section of the highway, I ended up putting this bill in. And I'm going to ask you to hold it for a bit, though, because I want to work with the department and see what their plans are for the next couple of years, because that's really, it's not something that can be done overnight. There are some very bad sections, especially an area that when you leave Fort Kent, the town line of, actually it's within the town limits of the town of Fort Kent, but you are leaving the central part from the railroad, and you have some very negative parts of the road there that need to be looked at. So that's the purpose of why we put it in. And of course, I want to point out, and I think most of you who are not from Aroostook know this already, but we don't have 95 or the main turnpike, because all we have to transport what we have in Aroostook, and in particular, more and more trucks are now on the highway, and basically they need a better condition and for roads in some of the areas of that area. So I think that it's a question of safety, in particular in some of the parts of it, and I think that when more and more we're going to, and we're starting to get additional companies coming in to build a couple of facilities, and we're going to be seeing even more truck traffic, especially on 161. And so that's why I put in the request. But I would say that what I'm going to ask you to do is to hold it for a couple of weeks before you have a work session and see what I can work out and what I can get for a method of how we're going to proceed on 161.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. It's always a joy to have you with us. Thank you for that. And Representative Danny Martin has a question.
A comment, Mr. Chair. Thank you so much. Full disclosure, a portion of 161 is located in my district. The better 161, the more improved 161 is located in my district. The worst section of 161 is located in John Martin's district.
That's exactly the point. And I didn't want to put it that way, but that's what it is.
Good. Thank you for that. Any questions, any further questions of Speaker Martin? Seeing none. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Next, registered to testify in support is President Troy Jackson. Mr. President here?
Yes.
It is nice to have you back, Mr. President.
Well, thank you, Senator Diamond, Representative Martin, members of the Joint Standing Committee on Transportation. My name is Troy Jackson. I have a great honor serving as President of the Maine Senate, and I proudly represent Senate District 1, which is northern Aroostook, stretching roughly from Caribou North to the St. John Valley. And I heard the conversation between the two Representative Martins, not the third one that happens to be on this committee too, but of course, the entire road is in my district, so I got bad and good. I'm here to testify in support of LD 410 and act to provide funding for the reconstruction of Route 161 from Fort Kent to Caribou. As many of you know, Route 161 is a major road in northern Aroostook County that stretches from Fort Fairfield northwest of Fort Kent, then west to Allagash, spanning a number of towns in Aroostook, including Caribou, Stockholm, Sweden, New Canada, St. Francis, and more. For years, both Representative Martin and I have heard from constituents constantly about the condition of the road for several years. In 2018, residents and town officials in St. Francis came to me with a number of complaints about the condition of the road, and I worked with them to bring Commissioner Dave Bernhardt up to the area for a public forum to hear directly from residents of the condition of the road. That effort led to the department announcing a new comprehensive work plan for the maintenance and continued improvements of the Route 161 corridor from Fort Kent to Allagash. At that time, the department had already placed an estimated 800 tons of shimming on the route, more than what was originally planned, and had repaved the road to keep it serviceable for the short term. The department also agreed to re-engineer several problem areas and add a 3-foot shoulder, which is significant with the amount of truck traffic that is on that stretch. This bill will aim to fund the reconstruction of a separate section of the road from Fort Kent to Caribou, which is in desperate need of repair for a long time. The staff at Maine DOT do a great job with finite resources at their disposal. However, there is no doubt that Route 161 is a major rural road in northern Maine, and one that so many residents rely on to get to and from work, send their kids to school, and more. It's time we took a serious look at reconstruction of that road that serves so many residents in the central Aroostook and St. John Valley. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate your thoughtful consideration. Look forward to answering any questions.
Thank you, Mr. President. Are there questions from members of the committee? Seeing none, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next to testify in support is Donald Flannery of Presque Isle. Mr. Flannery, you with us?
He is not.
He is not.
No, so we'll move to Mr. Duran.
Mr. Duran for the professional logging contractors. And I would say, Mr. Duran, we do have your written testimony, the several pages we've gone through it. So welcome.
Well, thank you, Senator Diamond, Representative Martin, members of the committee. So good to see all of you. I definitely heard Representative Martin's discussion just a few minutes ago and his recommendation on the bill. So I am going to summarize my testimony. So I'm Dana Duran with Professional Logging Contractors in Maine, resident of Belgrade and Maine native. Pleased to be for you today. And we are supportive of what Senator Jackson and Representative Martin have brought forth, although we do understand this is a long shot, and trying to legislate one road over another is sometimes political suicide. That being said, we are supportive. A couple things I just want to point out. One, obviously you heard the governor's discussion in the state of the budget and how important heritage industries are, like farming, fishing, and forestry, and logging certainly is one of those three. And so, you know, with respect to the announcement that came from New Limerick with LP last week and the $140 million they're going to invest in that mill, Route 161 is vital to delivering wood to the LP facility. I also want to just bring to your attention the Forest Opportunity Roadmap. So For Maine was created back in 2016 by Senator Collins and Senator King as a way to restart and reinvigorate our forest products industry. I'm the chair of one of our work groups called the Transportation Committee, and I attached as part of that our Transportation Committee recommendations to the Maine Department of Transportation that we put together in 2018. As part of that is a list of priority roads in Maine that are in desperate need of work. And we've been working with the department over the last 3 years on trying to kind of check these roads off. Route 161 was identified as one of these roads. The department has been terrific in working with us. You know, they tackled Route 201 north of Jackman to the Canadian border last summer, which was desperately in need of work. We're pleased to see the 3-year plan from DOT actually includes $11 million between 2021 and 2023 for Route 161 specifically. So that is a huge step in the right direction. We know that resources are limited. Senator Diamond, you were on the select committee looking at road funding in both 2019 and 2020. So we know how challenging it is, especially in light of COVID. But we do thank both Representative Martin and Senator Diamond for bringing this forward. And I just wanted to call to your attention from our perspective, how important 161 is and how we've been working to make sure it's identified as a priority. So with that, I will yield any time I might have left to answer any questions.
Well, we appreciate that and thank you for sharing your written and your spoken testimony. Are there questions from the committee? Seeing none. Thank you, sir, for that.
Thank you.
And that's the last in speaking as proponents. We have one opponent, Megan Russo of DOT. Good afternoon again and welcome.
Hello. Senator Diamond, Representative Martin, members of the Joint Standing Committee on Transportation. I am Megan Russo, Legislative Liaison for the Maine Department of Transportation. I'm before you today in opposition to LD 410. LD 410 proposes a one-time general fund appropriation of $40 million to Maine DOT for the purpose of reconstructing Route 161 from Fort Kent to Caribou. By way of background, this section of Route 161 is a highway corridor priority 2 roadway with an annual average daily traffic count of between 1,100 and 3,100, depending on where you are on the route. This segment of Route 161 is currently on a 4 to 5 year rotation for light capital paving, LCP, and is scheduled for LCP this summer. While we appreciate the bill sponsor's creative funding solution, as well as the general fund's continued support by covering the debt service of past transportation bonds, LD 410 directly circumvents Maine DOT's work plan process. Therefore, we respectfully oppose the legislation, as we do with all bills that attempt to add projects into our work plan. Thank you, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Ms. Russo. Are there questions from the committee? Yes, Representative Danny Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Megan, you've done this past summer considerable work from Madawaska Lake to the junction of 161, 162. Great improvement. So your suggestion or your statement is in regards to 162, the junction of 161, 162, all the way to Fort Kent. Is that correct?
I think the bill outlines the route. I think it was Fort Kent down to Caribou.
Yeah, no, right. If I may, Mr. Chair, I guess my question was your work plan and your what you're proposing. I suspect it's from the junction of 161, 162 heading towards Fort Kent. Is that correct?
I can verify that for you, Representative.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions, Representative Perry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do like the good Representative Martin's funding source. I would like to see him put that through anyway. And then I don't know if there's more needed roads throughout the state of Maine than this one. I'm sure this one needs some work, and I know there's a lot of commercial travel on that. But you know, anytime that the good representative wants to give $40 million to the highway fund, it would be much appreciated. And I'm sure we all have roads that could absolutely have some work done on them. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Representative Perry. Are there other questions? of course, he sits on the appropriate committee to make that all happen. So,
Just say,
so seeing no other questions, Ms. Russo, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And that's the last registered testifier, so that'll close the public hearing on LD 410. We will now open the public hearing on LD 252, an act to expand training opportunities for Department of Transportation workers, presented by Representative Bryant of Wyndham. Good afternoon, Representative Bryant.
Good afternoon, Senator Diamond, Representative Martin, and distinguished members of the Joint Standing Committee on Transportation. I am Representative Mark Bryant of District 24, which includes part of Wyndham. And I'm here today to present LD 252, an act to expand the training opportunities for the Department of Transportation workers. Right now, if you want to become certified to operate certain DOT equipment, you first have to receive proper training and become certified on that machine. The folks responsible for doing that training are called driver trainers. And here in Maine, we're confronted with a situation where our capacity to train is being outpaced by demand. This bill would help remedy that problem by establishing 5 new driver trainer positions this year, and then 5 more the following year. When I was asked to put in this bill, adding 10 trainers was on the high end of the recommended spectrum. Adding just even 2 each year would still make a significant impact. There are 2 key aspects of this field that make this legislation necessary. One is a demographic challenge, and the other relates to our rural communities. As we all know, Maine is one of the oldest populations in the country. This circumstance is compounded in certain sectors, and it is especially felt among those in this line of work, meaning that driver trainers that we have out there right now tend to be older and will be looking to retire soon. These industry veterans are good at their jobs, and we need to provide them with ample opportunities to pass this knowledge down to the younger folks looking to learn. We are beyond the point of being proactive. We are facing a situation where there may be a large gap between outgoing cohorts of driver trainers and incoming ones if we don't act. Because there are so many new folks coming into this work with little or no experience, each driver trainer needs to spend more time and more time with their trainees. This brings me to the second issue in this legislation we'll address. Aside from needing to build up the workforce so that it is not devastated once the demographic trends turn over, we also currently face an uneven distribution of driver trainers that leaves rural and northern parts of Maine behind. I've heard from members of the workforce who complain about the driver trainer being responsible for too large a territory. With only so many hours in the day, these folks are spread thin and can't devote the necessary time to properly training up new workers. I thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have, although I trust that there are others here to testify in favor of this bill that would be far more knowledgeable. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Representative Bryant, for that presentation. We appreciate it. Are there questions for Representative Bryant from the committee? Seeing none, thank you, sir. Next person, the person to begin the proponent testifying is Mr. Jeff McCabe of MSEA. Good afternoon, Mr. McCabe.
No, I haven't pulled him in yet because we have a co-sponsor, Representative Bruce White.
Oh, Representative Bruce White, would you
He
like?
wasn't on my list.
Well, I did not, thank you, and members of the board committee. Although I did not submit testimony, I just want to, I think that Representative Bryant certainly covered everything. And I am very supportive of this bill, and I hope we can move it forward and come to a resolution.
Very good. Thank you,
Thank
Representative.
you. Excellent testimony, Brian.
Thank you. So then, do we have Mr. McCabe?
We do now.
We do. Mr. McCabe, welcome.
I am here, Senator. Can folks hear me okay?
Hear you fine, see you great.
Great, fantastic. Senator Diamond, Representative Martin, members of the Joint Standing Committee on Transportation. I am Jeff McCabe, the Director of Politics and Legislation for Maine Service Employees Association, Local 1989. right now, for each of the DOT 5 regions, there is a driver trainer. These positions are known as driver trainer. These positions pay between $21.24 to $28.85, or equal to $44,000, $179 annually at the bottom of the pay scale, and $60,000 at the top of the pay scale. So right now, I believe it was just a couple weeks ago, I did see one of these positions that was vacant. I'm not sure of the status there, but according to the job description, a driver trainer trains, tests, evaluates, and rates MDOT workers in the proper operation and maintenance of state main vehicles and construction equipment. Driver trainers work closely with crew-based supervisors in identifying, providing, and documenting equipment training needs of crew members. Driver trainers are required to have at least 4 years of experience and education in highway, bridge, and equipment repair and maintenance or construction, along with at least 1 year of lead worker experience. Currently, MDOT employs around 900 transportation workers who plow our highways, maintain our bridges, and operate the department's equipment. Driver trainers at MDOT are the ones who train the transportation workers on how to do their jobs and keep it all done in a safe manner. The driver trainer positions train any transportation workers who MDOT hires who don't already hold a Class 2 driver's license. The driver trainers make sure that main transportation workers know how to do their jobs as well as operate all the equipment properly. Having an adequate staff of driver trainers is central to safe and effective operations at MDOT. As you've heard from Representative Bryant, who we appreciate his sponsorship of this bill, noted there just aren't enough driver trainers. Also, Representative Bryant referenced just the sheer need to get any driver trainers into the system to help with the backlog as well. While the department has made some progress through pay raises and slowing what we have seen as a revolving door of transportation workers over the past decade, the fact is, especially in Southern Maine, many private contractors as well as municipalities continue to pay much better and draw away from MDOT workers. The fact is the demand for the services of driver trainer services at MDOT far exceeds the current ability of the driver trainers. LD 252 will address this problem by creating and funding 5 additional driver trainer positions within MDOT. We think it is necessary and a responsible solution to address this problem. As you've heard us come before this committee, we are very concerned with recruitment and retention. This is quite an investment for these workers and for the state, and we would like to see the state be successful in addressing recruitment and retention. We decided to bring this issue forward after hearing from a number of our folks over the last couple of years. This is something that anytime we talk with transportation workers seems to come up. It seems to be a larger issue in the sort of northern part of the state, but it does seem to be an issue statewide. So recently we talked with some of our drivers and they did provide some information. They said the current driver trainers are spread over a large area with not enough time to spend with trainees. With a lot of the older workers retiring, we will just not be able to have trainers spend more time with new employees without proper training. Another person said, I work out of the Bangor camp and I support new driver trainer positions. There's a lot of equipment to be signed off on, and here it takes a long time to get signed off on that equipment. Also, in order to receive the Snow Fighter bonus, you have to be signed off upon. More driver trainers would help us with this issue. Another person in the Bangor area said, I'm a transportation worker who spends a lot of time talking to fellow new hires. Many of the people specifically request me as a mentor due to the fact that I used to be an Army master driver and I also have great patience. One new hire in particular never got a chance to meet the driver trainer at all. On my own, I did all the training and personally took him to the BMV for his test in which he passed. Another person said, I think we should be especially allowed to operate equipment that's available in our lots within a year. Example, forklift, backhoes, loaders, skid steers. This is all equipment that gets used more often. If a lot of us had the ability to do that, an employee should be trained all within the first year. I'm happy to take any questions. And as always, we're willing to work with the department outside of the committee process and do anything we can to sort of address this issue outside of legislation. And I will say, we've had a great track record of trying to troubleshoot some of these issues with the department. we just felt it was an important thing for this committee to hear, to consider, and sort of provide input as far as ways we might be able to address this. So with that, happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Mr. McCabe, for that. It's helpful. Are there questions from the committee? Seeing none, thank you, sir.
Oh, yep. Well,
I'm sorry, I didn't see you, Wayne.
yeah, I get in there too late.
All right, go ahead.
Hello, Representative McCabe. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Representative Perry. I'm glad you asked me a question because it's unfortunate. I was really hoping to interact more with you this session in person. I always enjoyed our interactions.
Yeah, no, I can't wait until we can get back to the State House. I don't like this part of it. I like the personal contact a lot better. I think you get a lot more done. Real quick, does the union allow cross training? So if you had experienced drivers, could they do training if they had downtime and stuff like that, so that you had some of those experienced drivers that you might have been at DOT for 10 or 15 years? If there was a little issue with needing a little bit more instruction, at downtimes or slower times for DOT, is that allowed through the union to do the multiple things, or is it not?
Yeah, thank you, Representative, for that question. I will get you information from the contract. I cannot think of any barriers within the Transportation Worker Series that would not allow these folks to, not do those types of jobs. I can see on the screen, and I'm really excited that Ms. Clements is here today. She might be able to answer more of those questions. She's somebody that is a transportation worker herself, but I can't think of any barriers. I think it's the certification and signing off on people to be able to use certain types of equipment. The department might be able to answer differently, but it's, I think sometimes you hear about that sometimes in other types of trades and things like that, the limitations. I'm pretty sure that would not be an issue here. Folks want to be
might help a lot. That might help a lot if there's an issue, different times a year. You could kind of in between seasons or whatever might help a lot.
Yeah, and Representative, what you'll see that's elsewhere too is sometimes there's incentives for folks to receive a stipend when they're doing things, such as this type of work. So, we could also talk, further about those types of things, so that if somebody was taking on more responsibility for those those driver trainers, also we would have to make sure with the department that those folks are certified to actually be doing the training, because we'd want to make sure that people were actually certified to be doing the training and also approved by the department to do the training. We wouldn't want anyone running into a situation where they might be able to, where they might train other folks to do something that they don't have necessarily the clearance from the department to do. So,
thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Good to see you.
Thank you. Other questions from the committee, Mr. McCabe? Seeing none, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next, registered on the proponent side is McKendra Clements from Bradford, Maine. Good afternoon, Ms. Clements.
Good afternoon. Hello, Senator Diamond, Representative Martin, and members of the Joint Standing Committee on Transportation. My name is McKendra Clements, and I live in Bradford. I'm a member of the MSCA Local 1989, and I'm here today on my own time to speak in support of LD 252. There is a definite need to expand training opportunities within the Department of Transportation. I currently work as a transportation worker 2 out of the Bangor camp. I came to the DOT with my Class B license, but I did not have much experience in this line of work or any equipment other than a dump truck. Unfortunately, access to driver trainers has been a big challenge in my 4 years here. Much of my training has come from my coworkers. I struggled to achieve my Class A license recently due to lack of training. Other coworkers are not always available to do training, as we obviously have other things that we're supposed to be doing. This has held myself and many others back from advancing in the Transportation Worker Series, because there are certain equipment and licenses that are mandatory to advance to the next level. The countless pieces of equipment all require extensive time with a driver trainer, and you have to be signed off on every piece of equipment, and that cannot be done by a coworker. It has to be a driver trainer. I am one of the younger workers at my camp within DOT. Many of our experienced older crew members, even region-wide, are nearing retirement. We need more driver trainers to fill the existing gaps, in addition to training the more younger generation coming in. The equipment we use is expensive and can be very dangerous. Proper training is critical for safety and productivity. Thank you, and I would be happy to answer any questions, which I'm sure somebody probably just did.
Well, thank you very much, Ms. Clemens, for that testimony. That was helpful. Are there questions from members of the committee? So the committee should understand that at this point, you really don't have enough trainers. You're unable to get trained on various levels, various equipments because of lack of trainers. Is that's the bottom line? And is the department working on that as far as you know from your position? Have you been told, or do you see some progress happening?
Not recently, especially with the whole virus going on. I do know that one driver trainer had just left and there was an opening and a lot of people had put in for it, but I don't think that it wasn't a new position added. You know, it was an open one when someone left.
Got it. Thank you.
So there's still a lack.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there other questions? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. It's very helpful. We appreciate it. And that's the end of the proponents. We have one opponent registered, and that would be Megan Russo from the department. Good afternoon again.
Good afternoon. I'm sorry that I'm in opposition to everything today. I feel like we're back to last session because that happened a lot too then. Just want to note, we always appreciate and love seeing fellow employees from Maine DOT participate in the legislative process. So let me just pull up my testimony. Here we go. Senator Diamond, Representative Martin, members of the Joint Standing Committee on Transportation. My name is Megan Russo. I am the legislative liaison for the Maine Department of Transportation. Maine DOT respectfully opposes LD 252. Maine DOT's opposition to LD 252 stems from the fact that it would earmark funds within our highway fund budget. LD 252 proposes a highway fund allocation of just under $600,000 in fiscal year 2021-2022 for 5 driver trainer positions within Maine DOT's Bureau of Maintenance and Operations. The bill further proposes an allocation of $1.2 million in fiscal year 2022-2023 for another five position driver trainer positions. That would create 10 additional driver trainer positions over the next 2 years. The duties of the driver trainer include training, mentoring, and preparing students for attainment of their Class A and Class B commercial driver's licenses. The position also plays a prominent role in internal certifications for our snow fighters, along with certifying employees on a variety of equipment such as lifts, graders, bulldozers, and boom trucks. Currently, Maine DOT has 7 driver trainer positions. 4 of our 5 maintenance and operations regions each have 1 driver trainer. There are 2 positions in Region 4 because of the number of employees there. Our fleet services also has 1 driver trainer. While the duties associated with the driver trainer positions have experienced backlogs in recent years, some of this due to the COVID pandemic, this backlog has improved recently. This is much in thanks to the transportation worker stipend that we implemented in 2018, which also resulted in reduced employee turnover. The addition of 10 driver trainer positions within Maine DOT would leave the department overstaffed at this position. Maine DOT's employees are without a question our most important asset. We are always looking for ways to expand training opportunities and of course would want to address a problem we felt existed. We do, however, believe that the number of driver trainers within each region is adequate to handle the current workload. For these reasons, we ask you to vote against this legislation, and I thank you for your time. We'd be happy to address any questions the committee might have.
Thank you, Ms. Russo. Are there questions from the committee? Representative Tom Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Are all the positions right now filled?
So Jeff and the woman that testified just prior to me was correct. We do have one vacant, and that actually has been advertised. And I think I was told we are interviewing next week for it. So we did have applicants apply for it and are in the process of filling it.
And what can you just explain quickly the process they use to get training?
The process in which driver trainers give others.
Right. Is it seniority? Is it based on seniority? Is it based on need?
Oh, what qualifications a driver trainer has to have is what you're asking. I don't want to misspeak, so let me bring that to work session if that's okay.
Thank you. Representative Perry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Megan, now would that be an inside hire and you would promote somebody from inside to become a trainer? Is that kind of the preference?
We do always look with all of our positions, but we do advertise it publicly as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Other questions from the committee? Ms. Rugo, at the end, so does the department concur that there is a need that's not being met? Or do you think everything is okay at the current?
So as my testimony mentioned, we did have a backlog in the work that these positions do, but we have seen recently, and much of that is due to the stipend and employee retention. We have seen that backlog diminish. So our position is if we were to be, flooded with 10 new driver trainer positions, I don't know that we would have enough work for them. That would be an overabundance of that position.
Okay. Representative Tom Martin, did you have another question?
He needs to unmute.
Oh, okay. Representative Danny Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Megan, I strongly suspect that your continued opposition to bills. I mean, I've been in your shoes and I fully understand that, but I strongly suspect that the opposition in a lot of legislation that's being introduced is basically because of lack of funding. Is that correct? More so this current year because of our pandemic or?
On some bills, that sure is the case. I wouldn't say that for the bills that I've opposed today. Jeff McCabe, former Representative McCabe, when he testified, he mentioned that we've worked together in the past. We have had a wonderful working relationship with Jeff. I always welcome, and so does Deputy Commissioner Nina Fisher. We always welcome the opportunity to talk to Jeff. So I suspect between now and the work session, we will get a call from him to see if there's any type of resolve that can be made. We've worked that way with him in the past. So I don't know if there is a resolve, like I said with the other bill, but we're happy to have those discussions.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. No, that's great. And I'm really pleased to hear you say that you are willing to further communicate with legislation. You and I worked quite well together when I was chair of state and local government. And quite frankly, on almost all piece of legislation, I would strongly recommend and suggest that you two guys get together and see if you can work this out. And that, in a lot of cases, works quite well. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you for that. Are there further questions? Ms. Russo, seeing none. Thank you.
Thank you.
That ends the number of people who are registered to testify. So we'll now close the public hearing on LD 252. And the last bill of the day, number 6, we will open the public hearing on LD 395, an act to remove the authorization for temporary signs to be placed in the public right of way, presented by Representative Ordway of Standish. Good afternoon and welcome, Representative Ordway.
Good afternoon, Senator Diamond, Senate, and Representative Martin. I am Lester Ordway. I represent District 23, which is part of the town of Standish. And as a side note, I will say that I am also a homeowner in Representative Martin's district on the good section of 161.
There you go.
But today I'm bringing forth this bill, LD 395, and you'll forgive me if, please, this zooming from home, I have to rely on handwritten notes because I ran out of printer ink.
No problem. That's okay.
Okay, so 395, it's an act to remove the authorization for temporary signs in the public right of way. This came into my mind when I had visitors this year from out of state, in a state where they don't allow signs in the public. They couldn't believe how crummy the most beautiful state in the union looks every year, and particularly every 4 years where we really mess this place up. And I think most of the people sitting here looking back at me on Zoom, we're all guilty of it. So the bill would take away the ability to put signs in the public right away. I think it's high time. It would not stop any signs from going on private property. Just we live in such a beautiful state, and really, honestly, we just really mess it up. Plus, we could spend campaign money putting more mailers to go in the recycle. With that, I just quick and easy. This bill would do away with that, but I would like to maybe change the wording on it a little bit, and an amendment that would allow the state and municipalities the ability to put temporary signs out where they might need a no parking sign, or the state might need a flashing sign or something like that. I would like to see that into the wording of the bill. With that, I'll end. This has been a long afternoon for you all, I'm sure, and answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Representative Ordway. It's always nice to have one of my state representatives in my Senate district up here before us, so it's nice to have you here. I would, between now and the work session time, if you get a chance, you might want to take a look at the U.S. Supreme Court decision regarding signs. That's now, I think it's probably 4 or 5 years old, and that's what the committee has been guided by. But that might be helpful for the discussion in the work session. I just offer that as a suggestion to you.
If I may,
I'll get the details to you.
Yeah, no, I've seen it. We had some other issues here in Standish, but I'm aware that other states do this.
Okay.
So I think that Supreme Court ruling is, if you allow it, then you have to allow it. Anything to go.
Okay.
Yeah, very aware. We had some big issues here in Standish that we did get taken care of.
Very good. Representative Perry has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I mean, I agree with, I would just soon not have any. We fight over who's allowed and what's allowed and how many people are allowed. And now we've got, I don't know if what we've done with it yet. I'd have to look at my notes, but we've got another one about taking signs off in front of your house. I mean, that's always been an issue that's been common courtesy. If the homeowner says take it down, you go take it down, and it just always seems to be an issue. And I'm wondering if this is the step that, the public right away needs to not have, distractions. If people want them on their private property, then fine. But all these signs in the right of way, they're popping up everywhere constantly. For you name it, it goes up in the right of way. And because we can't differentiate between, what we allow and what we don't allow, we have to treat them all the same. It may be a point where we really seriously look at not allowing them at all and go from there. So, and I'm sure that, I know there was some issues on farm stands and bean suppers and stuff like that. But I really think that there's plenty of private property owners that would have no problem putting those up, for those businesses and those people. So I think we could do this all at private property. So just a thought.
Thank you, Representative Perry. Are there other questions of Representative Ordway? Seeing none, welcome. Thank you for being with us. Welcome, and thank you for providing this testimony.
Thank you all. Have a good afternoon.
We will, and you too. We have one person registered to speak neither for nor against. That's Megan Russo for the Department of Transportation. She's not opposing this, evidently.
You guys must be sick of seeing me.
No.
I almost brought out my enforcer hat for this one. It's hanging right here in my office.
Oh, good. That was something, maybe some others haven't seen that.
They're probably wondering what I'm referencing. Senator Diamond, Representative Martin, members of the Joint Standing Committee on Transportation. I am still Megan Russo, legislative liaison for Maine DOT. Maine DOT is neither for nor against LD 395. Maine DOT has long accommodated the placement of signs in the public right-of-way in accordance with the Maine Traveler Information Services Act as defined in Title 23, Section 1913A. LD 395 proposes to remove the authorization for a person to place a temporary sign within the public right-of-way. As members of this committee will remember, the U.S. Supreme Court's 2015 ruling on Reed versus Town of Gilbert prohibits government regulation of temporary signs in the public right-of-way based on content. The Reed decision specifies that temporary signs in the public right-of-way can only be regulated in terms of time, place, and manner. The court noted that a governmental entity may go a long way toward entirely forbidding the posting of signs on public property as long as it does so in an even-handed, content-neutral manner. We do have concerns, however, that the blanket ban of all temporary signs from the public right-of-way could be challenged as an overbroad regulation of First Amendment rights, or on the grounds that it does not serve a compelling state interest. Regardless of whether such challenges would be successful, they could potentially result in protracted litigation. As the agency responsible for implementing sign regulations, Maine DOT appreciates the committee's consideration of the possibility that the enforcement of this ban on all temporary signs in the right-of-way could put Maine DOT in jeopardy of attracting litigation. We would suggest that the committee seek input from the Office of the Maine Attorney General if it is inclined to make changes to the temporary sign laws. Thank you for your time, and I'd be happy to address any questions you might have.
Thank you, Ms. Russo. Just a point on that, if we passed this bill and it disallowed any signs, which is what it would have to do from right-of-ways, that would include all the signs that currently nonprofits depend on, like the Little Leagues and the Bean Suppers and all those things would not be able to use that. Just want to make sure that's clear to everybody. So it doesn't just strike out political signs, it would have to strike everything. And many of those public right-of-ways are kind of a basis for informing the public of what things are going on. I just bring that up so we can get ready to discuss that at work session. Representative Perry.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I agree. That's why I mentioned that I figured there would be plenty of private landowners that would have no problem putting them on their private property. But Megan, you mentioned about the possibly would be litigation if we stopped it. I recall when we went through the Supreme Court decision, that was stated, if you allow them, you can make it so it wasn't allowed. I think that was in that whole decision that yes, we could say no. So I don't think there is a legal issue with saying no. So I just wanted to, because I remember that from testimony and from the Supreme Court decision, that if we allowed them, we had to allow all of them. We couldn't pick and choose, or we could say none. So I believe that wouldn't be an issue as far as that goes.
Thank you. Other questions of Ms. Russo? Seeing none, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
That is the end of those who have registered to testify on this bill. So we'll close the public hearing on LD 395. Thank you, everybody. We did 6 bills today. I think it was a lot of good discussion. I think we all feel that there's some work to be done on some of them. And we hope that we can get that started. Representative Martin, Danny Martin, is there anything you would like to add before we leave?
No, I think we're good, Mr. Chair. You did a great job. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Anybody else have anything we need to hit before we go? Darlene, you all set?
No, I'm all set.
Okay, everybody, have a nice weekend, and we'll see you all next Tuesday to continue on. All right, goodbye.
Thank you.
See you, everybody. Have a good weekend.
Thank
You
you.
too.